Hello there, and welcome to week 3 of the Silverbell Diaries, a series where I make a graphic novel through unconventional means. I am making a graphic novel with metal and going to try not to fuck it up. It has rained unrelenting here in Pennsylvania, but that has given me plenty of time to draw and hang out with the dog. This page is where we begin to challenge form and function. There are 4 separate bells on this page, each in a slightly different direction. Not only do these bells have variances in their perspective, but some of them aren't actually bells at all. They're sort of the head of the bell as it begins to solidify and take shape, forming her body inside of this crazy liquid, primordial, esoteric, cosmic rebirth. Now, evidently, I already drafted all this stuff the day prior, but shading this in is a serious challenge. I'm not especially proficient in metalwork. And while I'm confident enough in shading in bells, specifically because I've worked on them in the past, creating Bellringer books 1 and 2 along with our vignettes, not only does Silverbell's bell not resemble anything that was in any prior Bellringer media, as I really wanted her to be distinct and have a strong silhouette in accordance with the other characters throughout Bellringer. But this being the page that she's actually created in, it's pretty evident that her body is not made of wood. Every Bell Knight up until now, throughout vignettes, Lamentations of the Lavender Lamb, and Bellringer books 1 and 2, has had a wooden body, along with all of my sculptures. I've never gone into this new territory and the adventure of drawing a character entirely encased in metal. Silverbell's new body, which is kind of this cross between floral forms and an old school posable doll, leads to this mix of industrial and organic shapes, which allows for a lot of leniency along with a lot of artistic expression on the page rather than copying the patterns off an old chrome Chevy to get the metallic tint. I truthfully needed a little bit of a break from staring at screens and staring at boards, so Taylor thought it would be an awesome idea to collect some leaves from outside and spike all of our reptile enclosures with fresh leaf litter. A variety of hardwood leaves from outside and then boil or bake them to get rid of all the bacteria. And then that leaf litter becomes food for your microbiome, your isopods, springtails, and other small insects or crustaceans that may live inside the soil. We have quite a few animals besides my tortoise who lives outside currently, and you'll probably be seeing quite a bit more of them as time goes on.
That's probably enough for now, but it's a good...
This is kind of what I'm referring to when I say that it's the head of a bell coming out of a crazy liquidy form. This is her coming to life. All of these little kind of folds and wrinkles, I really want them to be rendered well, and considering that these pages are rendered at double the scale of the eventual physical publication, I wish for a clear yet striking image. You can really not get the same value scale with Silverpoint as you can with pencil, but honestly, with all these layers, I'm psyched. I so love it. Now we have to take a quick break from drawing to go reach out to a bunch of podcasts. Due to the nature of this project becoming a Kickstarter on November 11th, I want to be as thorough as possible with all of the media and promotion that I possibly can. A big part of that in the current day means reaching out to as many podcasts and interview shows as possible. The vast majority of these people I listen to when I go walk my dog or go play frisbee with her in the morning, as you've seen multiple times in these videos, that sort of thing. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but especially when I was starting out with Bellringer and learning about sequential art, I probably listened to at least 2 to 3 episodes of each one of the podcasts that I'm reaching out to. And every single one of these people, whether they be a single person or a show, greatly inspired and pushed me forward in that process. I wanted to grasp a solid handle on the culture, on what people did in the industry, and on what I could bring to the industry, and what I can carve out for myself on my own little island. So this week, I got a surprise delivery that I've been looking forward to, but didn't expect to come in so early. For me, whenever I'm working on a project, comfort and tools matter quite a bit. I associate certain sweaters with certain activities. I have separate pens for separate books and/or the universes in which those stories are written. Because Silverbell requires so much work in so many different disciplines, the single overarching tool that touches videography, painting, art, promotion, even the travel, would be coffee or tea. And even more importantly, the vessel which holds that coffee or tea. About a month ago at Worldcon Seattle, we went to this incredible gallery called Art on the Table. The entire place is a curated selection of Japanese pottery, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive. And thus I present the Silverbell cup.
Okay, Monday through Saturday.
So after a stormy, rainy week, where we had rain for 6 days straight, the weather cleared and we had sun for a day or two, and then the fog rolled in. Honestly, such a beautiful, perfect morning, tranquil and serene, especially on a day where I get to paint her in reflective waves. I also had way more large particles on this board, same as the last one. I'm going to try to be far more diligent in the future because, God, they just get right in the way. So yes, the world has fallen asleep, and yes, I've been using a primarily dark color palette, but that isn't all this book is going to feel like, and it's definitely not all it's going to look like. Although her body was destroyed, now she's been reformed. And in that new birth, I wanted to have a sense of exploration as she begins to realize that not only can she walk and move around like she could before, but now she can float, and her body kind of has a mind of its own. I consider just about this entire project to be an exercise in challenging my own weaknesses. If Bellringer books 1 and 2 are entirely done in black and white, line art, graphic style, this book kind of dismisses everything that I've already taught myself. First off, we're drawing with silver point here, and while it does sort of feel like a pencil at times, it is not a pencil. It is incredibly permanent. Every single one of those marks terrifies me. I accidentally brushed the boards a couple times with the back of the stylus and almost had a heart attack. It isn't just the stylus itself. It's almost the brushes and the watercolor that scares me even more. In the original Bellringer volumes, it's very easy for me to make those choices. White here, black here, a style of drawing that I'd kind of honed by drawing on the back of my homework my entire childhood, and ended up taking that into doing sketches, cover art, and such for the novels that I'd been working on for years afterwards. Now, I studied and challenged myself really harsh in those first couple of books, especially Bellringer books 1. Almost every single page I was trying a new technique that I was uncomfortable with in order to get better, knowing that I can push myself further and further when I storyboarded the next section of pages. But messing around into color, there's no more black and white. There are a million different decisions to be made. So my approach to this is very much the same as the first book. Go with my intuition and my instinct. I want to go for the evocation of feeling, a provocation of emotional response. Blah blah, whatever, pretentious. What I'm trying to say is that I want you to feel it, okay? I don't necessarily care about exactly the way light is supposed to behave in reality, the way it's going to reflect off the waves, the way that the particular color of sky is going to reflect off the grass, the way that the grass is going to move in the wind. I don't really care. Whenever you shoot a film, you don't only use the light overhead. There are a million artificial lights around to portray something the way that you want to portray it so that you can feel something in the way you want to feel it. So that's going to be my approach to this entire book. We're going to play with what works, have a particular palette that we draw from, and move forward with every new panel. I'm really terrified to mess it up, but it's very fun. I'm in love with the texture and feel of watercolor, not just the color itself, but the actual borders in between what you're drawing. What I mean by that is the negative space, the beautiful white brightness that it kind of creates beneath everything. For the sky, I went with the available palette of prior celestial scenes within this book, but I did want to add a little bit of a deep indigo to that water, which actually evokes what's on page 3 and 4, where we have a lot of rich, saturated indigo evoking space. I'm not quite sure how much the camera is going to pick up, but I'm overall so excited about this page. I need to go in and touch up a little bit of those oversaturated bits, or resaturate other pieces of the work, but overall, I love this page. Also, it's not finished, but most of these pages aren't finished when I show them to you because I still work on them and touch them up later in the evening.
It was good. It was actually, it's the new, sorry, I cut you off. 10 out of 10.
Mother bears have cubs in tow. There's plenty of food when the fish arrive.
Silverbell does not have the luxury of paper, so once again we have to prepare the boards. Preparing the boards each day has kind of been a constant throughout this entire process. I wake up, prepare the grounds, rehydrate the grounds around 2 hours later in warm water, and then have to create the boards. If I don't make the boards, I can't draw the next day. Taylor's ball python keeps getting behind its background back here. She keeps getting behind her cork background, so she has to secure them, which means she needs to go into a temp enclosure while the silicone hardens. Oh, you can see her there. But she is. Girl.
I'm confused.
You can't go behind your background, sweetheart.
It's been forever since I hold you, huh? I was letting you live your little life. I was letting you live your little life back there.
The temporary enclosure for Taylor's ball python. So besides the hilarious little snake drama, she's all safe and sound, everybody. The day was essentially dominated by storyboards. I have hit that point in the Silverbell process where the early development and pre-production has essentially come to a close, and now we're full on into the project. While I have the story of Silverbell solidified in my mind, and in my heart especially, that spirituality needs to come forth on the page. For this project, I did not storyboard the entire thing front to back, which means it is time to go through that relatively complex process all over again, and create a concrete outline that we can move forward with for the remaining however many pages we need to do. A far more elaborate video is going to come out on that process this week, and I hope that you enjoy it. You won't only see exactly how I go panel by panel and conceptualize the original and early stages of these books, but I'll also show you a lot of Bellringer books 1 and 2, and how my process began, the genesis of all of this, and where those ways of thinking have taken me now in terms of the project that you're seeing unfold week by week. We have now reached the number of outlined pages in Silverbell, which only means one thing. Today is storyboarding day. Storyboarding day. That is how we take the original page and we scale it up in our sketchbook, and then we take it to the finale. In the original renderings, she still has a body here. And what I hadn't realized is that this is what I wanted. True destruction, desecration. These bright whites, almost a nod or a suggestion of empty space. Her soul is attached to the bell in that bright, beautiful blue, but it's in contrast and in combat. It is aggressively opposed to the remainder of the page, which is these dark blood, inky reds, blacks, purples. Unbelievable to me that this is the end of week 3, which ultimately is the end of the first month. It's hard to describe how much more there is going to be, but it's going to be enormous. Stay tuned.